Good evening. We're going to get started with tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Before we get started tonight, I think we have some special visitors. I think I'm going to start with Mrs. Stevens or Mrs. Demotsis if they want to kind of introduce what we got here tonight. There's a lot of visitors tonight. Or the kids. I know we have a lot of students here. Perfect.
Okay. We would like to thank our school board for School Board Appreciation Month, and we have our student council, a few of our student council members representing the larger, and they have a little something they'd like to say and present to you. Okay?
Good evening, members of the school board. We are here on behalf of Student Council to say thank you.
Thank you for volunteering your time and energy to make our school a great place to learn. You help us have events we enjoy, programs that inspire us, and supplies that make learning exciting.
Thank you for making decisions to help us learn.
You help make our schools a safe place to learn and have fun.
Thank you for listening to our ideas, believing in us, and helping making our school community the best it can be. We are proud to be students here and just wanted to say thank you for not letting our school crumble.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Was it Jersey Day? Were we supposed to wear winning teams jerseys or not? Just checking for a friend.
Hi, my name is Finn.
Hi, my name is Mary. Hi, my name is River.
Hi, my name is Gavin.
Hi, my name is Carson. Hi, my name is Layla. Hi, my name's Ariana.
Hi, my name's Scarlett.
Hi, my name's Keegan.
Hi, my name is Tatum Tyrell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate
guys.
you coming. You guys are all more than welcome to stay, but I also know you probably have homework or bedtimes, and you're more than welcome to take
Thanks
off.
for coming out
Thank
tonight,
you so
guys.
much.
We appreciate it. Okay, moving on with tonight's meeting is next on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes from Wednesday, December 3rd. You've had a chance to look at those and review those. Are there any changes or concerns on those meeting minutes? If not, can we do a unanimous vote to accept those minutes? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes from December 3rd have been approved. Next will be presentations. We have Tony Gagliardi from Classic and Associates to review the 2024-2025 financial audit report.
Well, I have to follow up those kids, so that's not going to be easy, but I promise I'll do my best. I feel like that always happens at these audit reports. I always have to follow a good presentation like that. I always tell everyone, for these audit reports, like 80 pages, this always helps with insomnia, you know, or anything with that. So I'll try and summarize 80 pages as best I could in a short time for everyone. So once again, my name's Tony Gagliardi from Classic and Associates. I think it's my first time going to a meeting. We've been to auditors now about 3 years, I believe. So, you know, it's nice to meet everyone and finally be able to, come in and talk about it. So I do want to give a special thanks, Craig's been here with us our first couple years bringing us in, and then Tracy was a wonderful help this year with everything. You know, even though she came in later, she had everything ready for us and was able to make the process really as seamless as possible. So I want to thank Tracy, special thanks to Tracy and her staff for all that. Because without a good staff, getting stuff for us, that process takes longer. We don't want to be here as long as, people don't want us here as long. We all have a job to do, work together, and it just kind of helps make that process go seamless as possible. So a little bit about the audit process is, at the end of the day, we're verifying your numbers. We're doing tests of like revenues, expenses. Obviously if we looked at every one for the year, we'd probably still be here doing the audit from back in the fall because there's so many. We're just taking a sample of those, and then of course if we saw anything with the sample that we thought we should look at more, we would do that. And then we're just verifying stuff like, your cash balances, your accounts receivables, your accounts payable, all that. We're just doing testing to confirm all those numbers that you guys have on there. So that's kind of what it really breaks down to as a whole. Because at the end of the day, like what I always like to tell every client is, these are your numbers, not ours. We're just really auditing and verifying them. You guys are the ones who, if the public has questions, has to answer for that, or anyone else who would. So, a few big things with the report that I want to point out was you guys do have an unmodified clean opinion, for that. So that's always obviously what's strived for and what you would want every year. Now that's for both the financial and something called the single audit. So what the single audit is, it's another section of the audit that we look at for federal grant expenditures. And basically we're looking at your grant compliance for things like Title I, your child nutrition money that comes in. We're looking at a combination of that and just testing that for compliance throughout the year. And for both financial and that, we didn't have any issues that arose or, anything out of the ordinary with those. So that's always great, and again, credit to the business staff for that. And then, we have our different financial reports. Of course, the big thing that you guys always look at would be the fund balance. So a little bit about, so your fund balance right now, I believe remember, this is as of 6/30/25, was right around $7 million. And the important thing with that is, when you look at that and look at $7 million, you want to make sure that in our report that's being, kind of shown where that money is going to go. If someone were just look at that and see, oh, you guys have that, they think you guys could spend that however. So on the financial report, we have like, that's allocated for future costs with, pension, healthcare, capital projects. We kind of show that allocation because even though $7 million seems like a lot, there's a lot of projects that you guys would always be using it on, so that's why it's important to show that allocation. And again, like for things like what happened with the state budget last year, you know, it's kind of a good idea to know what you guys would always have, you know, as that money comes in or goes out, so you guys kind of have an idea to make decisions based off that. So I believe it did go down from last year, and a lot of that, like the local and state revenue went down, I know from the prior year. That was, you know, I know a lot of schools had a lot lower state revenue than they thought. You know, and then so just a big thing to do, you know, is always just, you know, watch budget, watch your spending, you know, those are always big things to do every year as much as you could to kind of help that, you know, ideally you'd like that continue to grow as much as possible every year, because there's always going to be things that come up and that, you know, you need to always, you know, you just like a house, right? Bills always happen, you know, same with a school. That's always going to come up, and you want to have the right reserve to pay for anything. And then, you know, other than that, we have, you know, I know everyone has a copy of the audit report. There's, you know, there's going to be, after the financials, those notes to the financials, and in that is detail of, like, you know, your debt, your capital assets, kind of what breaks all that down. So that's always an important tool to look at too. Like, it shows what your debt payments are each year between principal and interest, how much is going to be paid, like, over the next 5 years. You know, just kind of, again, helps for future spending purposes for all that. Same with your capital assets. It lets you guys know, here's what we have with buildings, equipment, you know, and so on. Kind of goes into detail on that. And another financial statement that, you know, I just wanted to point out very quickly was we also look at your proprietary fund as well. You know, we look at your general fund and all the government funds. We also look at your proprietary fund. And I believe that had about $160,000 increase with your net position from last year. So again, that's always a good thing to look at as well. And, you know, and again, that's just something you want to continue to grow with that. And then really, excuse me, really other than that, you know, that's a lot of the main points of the audit. Like I said, I think it was a very successful year. You know, important thing is always, you know, you want to do, for your controls, you want to do segregation of duties, which I think you guys have a good grasp of, and just continue, you know, to watch. You know, you don't want one person to have to do everything. You want different people to learn things, because that only helps you guys and continue to grow in the future with, you know, the business office. And, you know, so that's always an important thing. But again, I think Tracy's been great to work with, and I feel like the district is in, you know, I feel like she has, with the conversations we've had, that, you know, we look forward to continue to work with her. And Craig, don't worry, we enjoy working with you too. You know, he talks about the sports scores and all with us for the high school teams and all, so we make sure to go over that with him and my staff. But does anyone have any questions or anything on anything I said? I know I said a lot there, so.
I'll let the board answer any questions or ask any questions. I may have one, just depending on whether they ask it or not.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Tony, first of all, it's been great working with you over the course of years. You say the audit went well, which, you know, I think in terms of can you explain proprietary funds in a little bit more detail? Like, what are they?
Yep.
And why the net position maybe have went up?
Yep. So that's proprietary funds, or anything you charge a fee for. Like, so, you know, proprietary funds for you guys would be the cafeteria fund, because Correct. You guys charge for example, we do some municipal authorities, and those would be proprietary funds because you're paying, you know, you're paying for that service for the year. So that's what's called the difference between what's called governmental and proprietary funds.
Right.
So really, it kind of goes into the same thing. It's what you guys. So a lot of times, the big thing with your proprietary fund for a school is your state and federal revenue from year to year. How much you bring that in, that's going to be a big, you know, that's going to be. And sometimes too, like if you guys had anything you wanted to buy under that, like projects or equipment for the you know, sometimes I see that's where some schools will, you know, get into a loss if they're buying, you know, if they have to buy a lot of equipment. So it's always kind of a good idea to always watch that, so you kind of know what's coming up with that.
Correct. Tracy. Tony, you mentioned that at the end of the June 2025, our fund balance was approximately $7.1 million, unless they stole it and took away the other microphone. Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's right in front of you.
So one thing that I do want to point out to the board is, like, the fund balance was at the end of the last fiscal year was $7.1 million. One thing I want to remind you is that that's not actually what's in our fund balance now, as a result of the fact that our budget for 25-26, we reduced our fund balance by approximately $2 million, and you guys took action on that in October. I think we did a fund transfer, and that was out of our capital reserve. So if the public is like wondering like why you got $7 million and you're talking about having a deficit again, but why don't you just use your fund balances? The fund balance was 7.1 during your fiscal audit year. It's not what actually is in there. Accurately, what is our fund balance now more accurately? Or will be?
Okay. So after our, like, just about $2 million loss from 24-25, we're now down to about the 7. So what's concerning is we have a budgeted loss in the year we're in for like almost another 3 million. So you take, if you have those become actual results, you're then down to 4 million. And so that's why, you know, we're looking at budgets concerned, because this continues in 2 years, the fund balance is gone.
Correct.
And so it's, you know, you need some fund balance for those years when you don't have a state budget, so you can make payroll and you can kind of continue. And so that's why we're looking at it.
And kind of like what we said, and Tracy, you could kind of attest to this, like even last year with the $7 million fund balance, I think about $6 million of it, what you guys have already assigned to future costs, and we do show that on the balance sheet there. You know, like for example, assigned restricted for capital projects, you know, for PESers, for health insurance, you know, all that. So we kind of do list. So I think it was only about $1 million that was unassigned, you know, that didn't already have like kind of tied up into some, you know, for the future.
Tony, one more question,
Sure.
and I apologize. I'm trying to be very overt and explicit, you know, as we go into what we think is going to be a challenging budgeting season. In terms of findings, which is one of your things, like you report findings, you have to. Did you find any findings, minor or major?
No, none that rose to that level. None that rose to that level of a finding.
Got it.
Now, there's always things like, you know, that there's a management letter after the fact that but like nothing at all that. Now, you guys have had before. You guys have had findings in the
Correct.
past, but you know, a lot of that was like, you know, some of that we were getting to a point where we were auditing our own work, so that's kind of always you know, you don't want it where you guys don't have full financial statements ready for us, and then we're kind of we're not making up, but we're making those numbers from your support, like if you're giving us your report for your receivables or payables. At the end of the day, we don't want to be the ones who are putting that together, because then, like I said, that would be like auditing your own work, and you know, that's not, we're just kind of, like I said, in to verify your numbers.
Right, and so just for the board's sake, like a finding is like an error or we didn't do things correctly, and there are 2 types of findings, right? And we didn't reach to any level of those.
No, no, there's like a material weakness and a significant deficiency, but no, like I said, there has been other years you have with that, you know, like I said, a lot of that is with what I said, or I know the one year there was some stuff with the single audit under the federal wards, but like I said, everything even with the federal wards this year, you know, what we do with that is we look off what's called the OMB uniform guidance, which is something the federal government comes out with every year, Office of Management and Budget, and they kind of list like what we're supposed to look at for each of those programs, and that gets updated yearly by the federal government. And based on your risk assessment and all, and some other things, that's how we determine what programs to test every year. Like if a program's been if Title I hasn't been tested in like 3 years, for example, probably then that year is a year we'd pick it. But if child nutrition was tested last year, we're probably not going to pick it that next year.
Tony, thank you for just helping me understand it better and maybe helping some others. So just those are some questions that have been raised over the past several weeks, knowing that you were coming. So. They might be my own questions on my rides home. So
and
thank
like
you,
what
Tony.
I always say, it's a year-long partnership. So I know like Tracy, you know, has contacted me different times. But if anyone ever, you know, it's a year-long. I look at it as a year-long partnership, even though we come in for the audit. So we'd rather make sure you guys were doing stuff right, and you know, sometimes you guys just don't know. You know, before we get, you know, stuff could be fixed before we get to audit time, for example. So you know, that's always a good way to look at it. You know, we're always working together and trying to improve. And anywhere we could.
Yeah, you've been a good service to us when we've needed some guidance. So thank you, Tony.
Of course, yeah.
I'm not going to bother you anymore.
Is this audit available on our website?
It is, and if it's not, it will be. I think it's after tonight we post it on our website, and it's under the business office. So we're going to put our audits and our audit financial AFRs budget. Yeah. Yeah, we wait till it's approved, but you guys actually have to acknowledge it through board approval, and then it will be posted. And if you're looking for that, if anybody's watching the live stream, you can find that under our website. Go to the business office tab, and it'll be found in there. I just don't want people to feel like
And
lost.
like I said, once anyone has a chance to digest it more, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure if you go through Tracy, she'd be happy if she can't answer that to, go over anything with me, if it's anything, related to something certain that we did or anything.
Yep, and Tracy is really great about meeting with the public. She had a recent meeting with a community member to explain some things that was actually looking through some of our financial reports. So, yeah, I'm not opening the door for her to meet with everybody, but if anybody has questions, she's very willing and eligible to do that.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of the costs are broken down, so if the public has any questions on money or spending, it's really broken down, like it's detailed.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Of course, yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. It was great seeing everyone, and we look forward to continuing to work together. Thank you. Yep. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, Tony. We need to take an executive session right now for legal and personnel, and we'll be back shortly.
We got it this year.
Okay. Moving on to committee reports. Finance and operations.
Thanks, Kathy. I got this one. Eric gave us an update on what's going on in the world of building and grounds. Some of the things they've been doing lately: light pole repair, calm down room at Lynch, various lighting and heating repairs, and the big one was the water main repair to Row building. Then Tracy gave us an update on the impact of the new tuition funding formula for cyber charter schools, which is going to save us about, correct me if I'm wrong, about $100,000 this year. Or something. That's it.
Thank you.
So just so everybody's aware, like one of the things that Pennsylvania touted was the cyber charter tuition reform, and that it could save districts up to 40%. Our bill last year was $1.4 million, and if I think it saves us about $100,000, I don't think that's 40%.
You don't think what?
I don't think that's 40%. Just want to make sure everybody understands the math. Sometimes the math doesn't math.
Okay. We did have a drop in charter school though, from 60, it's down to 60 students.
Yeah, I'm going to skip my report, but I'm going to chime in on a lot of stuff. I want to give credit to everybody that's putting forth a fantastic effort. Last year we had 72 students enrolled in cyber charter schools. I think currently we're at 60. So that's a savings.
Thank you to the WOLA team.
WOLA's killing it in a polite way. It is a lot of work. A lot of work. And I also think the conversations are happening in the classroom level differently. I think things are happening differently in the public. I'm hitting it with a hammer every time.
Okay, next committee report, personnel and policy. I'll report on that. All the policies listed tonight are second reads, so we reviewed them previously. We will begin next month back at bringing new policies to the table to review. We're almost done with the entire policy and procedure book. We started this, I think, 2 years ago, going through each policy so that it's updated or reviewed. So we'll be back in action next month. So this month it's just second reviews. Curriculum, instruction, and technology. Mr. White?
I'll take that one. According to Act 35, the state requires that we now have a financial literacy class. Mr. Lichty built one for a graduation requirement for 10th graders, and also 11th and 12th graders as an AP class. Did you want to talk about it at all?
Here we go. Yeah, I'll just briefly mention, we've taught a financial management class in the high school for the last 15 to 20 years. And after looking at the standards that the state had put out for this mandated class, I reviewed them all, and there were, out of the 15 pages, probably 6 standards that I hadn't met yet. So it's an easy add-in for our high school. And I just approached Jamie and Dave, just thought it would make sense of just having that course, change the name, and officially adopt it with the school board to fulfill that requirement. And in the meantime, in the late fall, early winter time, the college board had also approved an AP business and with financial literacy class as well. So I approached them with that in mind as well. So we'll be able to hit the entire school with financial literacy. We have offered it as an elective, but now it's a graduation requirement, which I think is fantastic for every kid. And no matter if you're number 2 in the class or 152, you're all going to have a paycheck, a monthly budget, bank accounts, credit, insurance. So those are the topics that we'll talk about. Can answer any questions that you
you
have.
mind
We're
if I chime
looking
in?
to have the 10th grade class next year, the upcoming 10th graders, be that class to meet the cohort for a graduation requirement.
This doesn't involve any new staff or any changes in scheduling, anything like that?
Good question. No, to be honest with you, because what the financial literacy course, I've usually targeted seniors with some juniors sprinkled in. It's just going to transfer to sophomores. So the number of class periods doesn't really change. It goes from 3 in the fall. I have 2 right now. In regards to the AP Business course, I looked at my marketing curriculum, which I already, have had in place, and my business entrepreneurship class, and there's a lot of what I teach in those 2 classes combined in this AP course. So long way to answer you, my schedule, I'll still teach 8 periods a day. The titles have changed. The content will be fairly similar. No cost to the district. The resources that we have available will be relevant for both courses.
Thank you.
A little shout out, Brady. I was not, and I know Mrs. Rhodes worked really hard on this with Mr. Gabriel and Mr. McNeil, but truth of the matter is, we've been ahead of the curve for about a decade on this financial literacy thing. So, and that, I remember that being a big conversation we had a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, thank you for putting us ahead of the curve.
Sure, it'll be fun.
We were pleased to hear that it's going to be at a zero cost benefit to us. The other thing is that they finished up their Keystone successfully the winter round, and they are finishing up the Firefly testing.
Okay, thank you. Next up will be extracurricular activities. Okay, Dr. Stage.
I'll make it really quick. We weren't able to talk about everything we wanted to talk about because we were just a little short-handed tonight in staff. I think the important thing that we wanted to point out was we had some resignations in the junior high and assistant coaching, and we'll be talking to the head coaches to fill those. We are looking at getting all of our coaches PIAA certified, as they're going to need to be by as soon as possible, so within the next year. Conversation took a turn to talk about, accountability and code of conduct, and do we need to address that? And right now I think we have a good plan, and we're going to maybe try to look at some mentoring to grow some of our student athletes in terms of the mental aspect of the game. We talked about the strength and conditioning position, and we're going to be evaluating that in the next time the committee gets together, I think. And then also we still have to review fall coaches evaluations, which will happen at the next meeting. All right, good?
The next meeting is in March, I think, or?
The next meeting is supposed to probably be at the March board meeting, but I think what we'll try to do is sit down and try to establish one in the next couple weeks so that you guys can get those taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Superintendent items and reports. Dr. Stage?
One item, and then I'll hit it with a hammer. Just so everyone's completely aware, kudos to Mrs. Scherznowski and all of our WOLA teachers. We went down and visited a regional school that we thought was doing online schooling really well, and we compared notes. First of all, thank you to East Lycoming School District for inviting us and hosting us that day. The second part of that is out of that meeting, absolutely learned some things, but we're very confident in what we're doing. And truthfully, when we assess ourselves, the only real thing that we're missing in terms of what maybe students get at a cyber charter school is time to meet virtually during the week. And we're looking to see what we can do to add that. But other than that, we are extremely competitive, extremely rigorous. What we offer is very robust. And that's why maybe why we've seen a decline in the cyber charter school students. But I needed to put that out there. And just so that everyone knows that the article that was in the paper several weeks ago that countered our conversation, there was some misinformation there. Rural school districts can have a very robust, competent online school.
You said we need more time for online or for...
The only thing that cyber charter schools do that we do not do is we don't set virtual meeting times. Like, we do a lot of our stuff through email and things like that. So the only thing that we're looking to add is virtual sessions where people can connect remotely. Go ahead, Mary Ellen. It's available. We're just going to make it more mandatory. Microphone. Sorry, got to remind you. Turn it on.
Virtual, but it's not a requirement. So if a student reaches out and says, I'm having a hard time in math, Mr. Yaus logs on with them and they do a virtual session. We do it for our special ed students for progress monitoring and stay in compliance. But it is not a required office hours, which is becoming, with some of the new changes to the cyber charter school expectations, it's becoming a requirement for them. So that is just something we haven't
I didn't
gone
think
to
we
yet.
had that. That's why I was questioning.
They've added that,
That's a
It's-
new addition.
right? And if we want to stay apples to apples, that's the
Yes.
only thing we need to do.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people know, we do have a student who needs it, we offer it. We also have WOLA rooms inside our building, so if a student needs to come in for a catch-up day where they can focus, not in their home, they're welcome to come into our buildings, and we offer them that opportunity as well.
Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Stage?
Just be patient with us. We're going through a process.
Okay. Next item would be an NTC report. Mr. Johnson isn't here. Mr. Frisbee, do you know if there's anything to report? Okay. Oh, all right. They meet this Thursday. Next would be PSBA. Mrs. Smart.
No update.
Okay. That brings us to solicitor items and reports. Mr. Barrett?
Other than several things I've been working on, which I've reported before, and there's been no activity over the Christmas break. I have one thing here that requires board action this evening if the board is in favor of it. I have a settlement agreement that I've marked as 1-1326, which is obviously today's date, to identify it. This is a confidential agreement based on a federal law that protects medical information and educational information of a minor, but it is a settlement for additional services that a student may or may not be required to have. It's the district's position, and the district has not assumed any wrongdoing in this at all, and as a matter of fact, the agreement is very specifically says that, but in the interest of judicial economy, saving money, we've entered into this agreement to provide extra services to this student in our school for the remainder of the calendar year, an extra hour of reading instruction. And in addition to that, we are responsible for the attorney fees by the person's attorney. But the total cost of this is less than, is approximately $17,000. And I would recommend you approve this based on the recommendation that I've received from our defense attorney in this matter. I wish to thank Mr. Moser for negotiating this out under some fairly favorable terms. Thank you.
So it won't be because we didn't meet the deductible, but the deductible's $20,000.
You need a motion to approve that?
I do.
I'll make a motion to approve the settlement agreement as presented by Mr. Barrett.
Second.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes.
Any news on the Lowe's tax?
We have a pre-trial coming up 2 weeks from Friday.
Thank
So
you.
I should have a report. Well, I have a report if there is a pre-trial. You never know with these things. So one of the attorneys has been replaced on this thing, so we may see. But where that sits is I have an appraisal which you authorized the cost of $8 million. They have an appraisal of $3 million. The county had an appraisal of approximately $4.5 to $5 million at the tax office. They've indicated they want to withdraw their appeal for 1 year and want a reduction for this year, and I said no. And we'll see where we're going to go. I'm fairly comfortable based on the conversations I've had with our appraiser to take it to trial.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right, thank you.
This is the second one. We've always had them every couple of years. I think we only have, well, we have 1 year now on our second year.
The first one was, because it's been at least.
The last one, I don't know how many we had before that.
Yeah, all right.
Between Walmart and Lowe's, we have them periodically, okay?
Okay, thank you. All right, that brings us to our visitor comments on board action items only. Do we have any visitor comments this evening? All right, moving on to financial business. Okay, need a motion to bring financial business to the table.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll bring financial business to the table. We have our listing of bills, our general fund checks, cafeteria bills, the earned income tax report for November and December, and the earned income tax year-end report for 2025, secretary treasurer report for November, and secretary treasurer report for December, the student activity, the high school student activity account for November, the Harlan Row Middle School account for November, request to accept the 24-25 financial audit that was presented tonight. And then we have tax collection appointments for the year 2026 for 3 townships, Ridgebury Township, Shashequin Township, and Ulster Township. Any questions, comments, concerns on financial items? All right. I just want to point out that charter school year to date is $675,692.42. And that's everything. Okay. Christine, the roll count.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
All right, that brings us to item 9, personnel items. Can I have a motion and a second to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, the personnel items for approval tonight. We have 3 support resignations. We have 5 professional retirements. We have athletic coach contracts for the spring sports. And we have athletic volunteers for some winter sports and a spring sport. Dr. Stage, do you want to elaborate on any of these? I should have asked that. I'm
No,
sorry, I
it's
should have
totally-
asked that for financial and I
No,
forgot.
no, you were fine. It went through. You guys are good. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to recognize the professional retirements. You know, we're looking at 5 retirees with over 150 years collectively or more of experience that we're letting go of, and I want to thank them all. There's a lot of really, really great people that are we're going to miss as they retire, but I'm sure they're excited to start the second part of their journeys. So, yep, you guys are going to vote on that tonight. Other than that, we do have some vacancies to fill in the spring sports, and we'll get those to you by February.
Any questions, concerns? All right, Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
And Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to contract and agreements. Can I have a motion and a second to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, under contracts and agreements, we have the special education plan for 2026 through 2029. And then we have some NRG controls, North Incorporated. These are maintenance agreement contracts that I think, Mr. Frisbee, you reported out. Did you report out on that? I think it was last month. And then we have a Blast IU contract. Dr. Stage, can you elaborate on these?
Without question, I will gladly do that. So the NRG, this is to like make sure our chillers are repaired and maintenanced. Kyle, am I correct? And the reason why you're going to see different ones is because each building has a little bit different need. So the B is just the overall HVAC maintenance contract. Lynch and Lynch Buston has a large different chiller type system. So that's why they're all built a little bit differently. In terms of the Blast IDA pass-through, we get IDA funds, but the way it works through the federal government is our intermediate units must pass through the money to us, and this is about $7,000, I think, if you read, that will be passed from the IU to us, and it must be spent on special education students, specifically in kindergarten. In the special education plan, Mr. Moser can speak on if you want, but it's similar to a comprehensive plan. It's a reiteration of an old plan. He revised it based upon the feedback that he got from the stakeholder group, which you would read in the first couple pages of the stakeholder group. It's parents, teachers, administrators, community members, board members, and the like.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from board members on contracts? No? All right, Christine, when you're ready.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to policies, and I have a motion and a second to bring it to the table.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so there's A through H policies. These are second reads. They've been through first, now they're second. Any questions, concerns? You've had a chance to review them. Not hearing anything, so Christine, go ahead when you can.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Minnick?
Yes. And just to review, all of our policies are available online. If you go to the website and you click on, I think it's quick links, and they have a link there for policies.
That's correct.
All right, up next is curriculum and instruction. Can I have a motion and a second to bring this to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so this curriculum instruction, we have an overnight trip request for the Lynch Odyssey of the Mind. We have an overnight trip request for the High School Science Olympiad for February and April. And Harlan Row Middle School trip request to go to 8th grade to go to Washington, D.C. in June. And this is also where we have our new course approval request that Mr. Lichty reviewed just a couple minutes ago. Are there any questions, concerns, or comments from the board on these items? I just want to say that I read over the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., and it looks, I'd like to go myself. It looks pretty interesting, and I'm glad they got everything in ahead of time so that the kids have a chance to.
Jim, you gonna make that happen for her? Yep.
So I can go. I'll fundraise between now and June. No, I think it's great. I saw where Dr. Jam had it, the payments, and she had it very detailed. I think that was really nice. Okay, that's it. I'm good.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
And Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Okay, transportation items. Can I have a motion and a second to bring that to the table?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have Keystone Communication bus repeater purchase for the 25-26 school year. We have an updated bus contractor daily rate sheet, and we have an updated driver list. Dr. Stage, can you talk about this communications bus repeater?
Yeah, so because we live in such a rural area, normal radios don't cut through the mountains. So we need to have a bus repeater, and it's placed out in Ridgeberry, I believe. Corey, is that? Yeah. So the repeater has been Keystone Communications. That's who we buy our radios through. It's who we do all of our communications and bus radios through. That has been repaired about 12.5 times, and they finally said, we can't. We're not climbing the tower and trying to fix it. It's done. And the reason we need it is we cannot actually communicate with our buses without it. So unless they're within line of sight of our radios, and or if they are in cell phone range, and typically we've been doing most of that via cell phones and texting. So this is an immediate need, so we need to get this rectified. We've been fortunate with the weather. So.
Is this total cost on us, or do the bus contractors
So
contribute to
we
this?
own the bus radios, and we own the repeater. So even the bus radios in buses are ours, and the bus radios that we use in our offices all match up. So it's our system. And what contractors will do is when they get a new bus, they take the radio out and put it in the next bus.
All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes.
Okay, buildings and grounds, there's no items, none at this time for tonight. Other business?
Yep, I have one thing I'd like to share. Is it okay? Oh, wait, no, never mind. Never mind, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any other business? All right, next would be visitor comments. Any visitor comments on anything? All right, so we'll move on to board communications and/or information items. There's a list of personnel transfers. There's some field trip requests. A date change for one of the previous approved overnight trips. Sunday facility use rentals, a request. And then our enrollment by building and enrollment by month for January for review. And then we'll move on to board discussion items. I think we're going to, before we do board discussion items, we'd like to take a moment of silence to remember a longtime Athens Area School District teacher and coach, David Wardrop. If we could just take a couple minutes, please. Thank you. Does anyone have any other board discussion items? All right, if not, future meetings, we will have a regular session meeting on Tuesday, February 10th, here at the admin building at 7 o'clock, and the committees will meet at 6:15. We do not need to have an executive session. I just need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we've got a lot of signing to do though tonight.